Okay, good morning to all of us. This time I will present my assignment. The title is Philosophy, Analytic of Philosophy. So, I want to ask to all of you. This picture is Babel Tower. So, why God confused the language of the earth? Right? Because why God did it, and what lesson that you can learn from this story. This is relationship for our class or for our material this morning, because our material include both language. So how about the Bible, the Tower of Babel? As you know, in Indonesia also have Tower of Babel in Sidijo, North Sumatra, Indonesia. Not only in Babylonia, but in Indonesia also have the tower like in Babel. Okay. It is motivation for all of us, to all of you, before we start or begin our material this morning. We begin from the definition of analytic philosophy. How or what is the definition of analytic philosophy? This is the meaning of the analytic philosophy. Analytic philosophy is a branch of tradition of philosophy that uses analysis that is popular in the Western world and the astrologer starting around the turn of the 20th century in the contemporary era and continue to this day in Britain, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Scandinavia. The majority of the university philosophy department now identify themselves as analytic departments. That's the meaning of the analytic philosophy. Next, we come to a central figure in the historical development of analytic philosophy. We have four figure of the analytic philosophy. There are first, Gottlob Frege. Frege was one of the founders of the analytic philosophy, whose work on logic and language gave rise to linguistic change in philosophy. He's the great of the philosophy. He's a great of philosophy also. His contributions to language philosophy that include analysis of function and argument. The second profession, different between concept and object, Begriff and Gegenstand. And then the last is the principle of composition. And the next, the principle of context and different between meaning and reference. The second is Bertrand Russell. He was a polymath philosopher logician, mathematician, historian, writer, social critic, political activist, and British Nobel laureate. He got the British Nobel laureate. He's a great man. Russell is generally considered one of the founders of analytic philosophy. He was very productive in the fields of metaphysics, logic, and philosophy of mathematics. Russell is generally considered one of the founders of analytic philosophy. He was very productive, I repeat again, in the field of metaphysics, logic, and philosophy of mathematics. Philosophy of language, ethics, and epistemology for the advancement of science and the prevention of the right to freedom of expression. Russell also advocated the will to develop the recognition that all human knowledge is at best the best guess which must always be remembered. Yeah. The third is G.A. Moore, or the name is George Edward Moore. Was an English philosopher. He led the transition from idealism in British philosophy, and he became famous for his defense of the concept of common sense. He has the contribution. The contribution of him is his contribution to ethics, epistemology, and metaphysics, and his extraordinary personality and moral character. And the fourth, the last, is Ludwig Joseph Johann Wittgenstein. He was an Austrian-British philosopher. He worked primarily in the fields of logic, mathematics, philosophy, mind, and language philosophy. He was a great man. He is a philosopher, good philosopher, and there are four figures of philosophy in the world. So maybe we can, or you can, looking for more than I explained this morning, and you can looking in Google, on many media, about four figures of philosophy. Next, I want to explain about, okay, I forget this one. Let me stand, however, reject many of the trust's assumptions, arguing that the meaning of the words is the best understood as they are used in certain language games. Yeah. He is a creator of the language games also. We continue. Now we come into definition analytic movement of education. What is the definition of analytic movement of education? These are. Analytic philosophy is not a systematic, it's not systematic philosophy such as idealism, realism, or pragmatism. Indeed, most analytic philosophers struggle to reject identity with systematic philosophy because they say that the system approach in philosophy has brought more problems than solution to human understanding. For the most part, analytic philosophers seek to clarify the language, concepts, and methods used in fields such as science, politics, and education. The clarification is simply unifying them in analytic philosophy. We come into education. What is the aim of education? The aim of education. Educational objectives, philosophical analysts are interested in proving educators' concept about education and the way these concepts are used. One of the first steps is to become very aware of language and its potential. He said also that people will have greater concern for the use of sensitive language in the education process. So, in the start of my material this morning, I asking to all of you, what is the meaning of Tower of Babel? Yes, because when they grow with the building the tower, God disturbed their language, and then the building is stopped. So language have big power to influence, to make a better for all of us. Language is very important. It is a tool to communication one to another. So we have to knowing that how the importance of language. This material will tell you about the language also. Okay, we continue. Analytic philosophers are after clarification. It must be clear what the educator proposed in education in philosophical educate way, and philosophical analysis is the main tool in completing this state of clarification. Analyze believe that educators must be in harmony with the logical complexity of language. Okay. Language is a complex culture development, and words have a variety of meanings and usage. Some analysts, like R.S. Peters, insist that a person cannot speak legally about the purpose of education, because if education is an imitation into a useful activity, then he already has all the objectives he needs. That's very important about language. Yeah. Centralness in our life. Every of us, or every of each, need the language. So let me using the language to our needed. And then we come to method of education. You know, education must have method. What's the method of education? Realize that methods and media of all types educate children in many ways. Although educators must understand that words and concepts are full of values, they do not always operate with awareness of the fact. Yeah, method is important in education. That's the rule of education. We have, or education must have the method, the right method, or the best method in our education, especially in the school. Instead of saying what is needed with words of do, reading or learning and people statements about these words. Yeah. What is needed with words of the reading or learning and people statements about this word. Once more I say that language. It's talk about language. Okay? Some analysts avoid not only presentative statements about what student should or should not do, but also statements of value about what should be read, do, study or study, analyze, who analyze the nativity. Some analysts have created division paradigms, that is, building logic model that help explain and understand concepts. Yeah. We come the part of analytic curriculum. So what's the meaning of the curriculum? Richard Green points out the curricular terms such as integrated study, integrated curriculum, integrated knowledge, broad areas of experience and problem solving are confusing and misleading. Yeah, curriculum is part of the education also. The curriculum is about the how to manage or how to improve our school. Without a quick curriculum, school or education will be stopped or will not continue in the future, because curriculum is the base of the education, especially in the school. Curriculum planning is often superficial and poorly done, and contradiction is also the only reason that can be denied in many curriculum plans. Yeah. Ray said also that the most important philosophical issues in curriculum and curriculum integration are what meaning is involved? What assumptions are made about knowledge? Yeah, this is the meaning of the curriculum. Curriculum integrations are what meaning involved, what assumptions are made about knowledge. So curriculum is the manager. Yeah. As a manager in the school, how our students knowing about knowledge, it's managed of by curriculum, good curriculum. So this time I will tell you, without curriculum, our process in the school will be stopped or will be stopped. What form? What are the interested is between this form and what central in unity of language is? Thus, every concern with the curriculum goes far beyond the idea of incorporating subject areas into school programs boards. Yeah. It is the last of my material this morning, so I hope everybody can hear my explaining because this is very important, especially for us as a teacher. Okay, what is the role of the teachers? Linguistic analysts worry that teachers have a good understanding of the language used in their classroom. Yeah. What's more, the material dependent. Language is very important. Language is our tools to speak, to explain, to mention, and to give something with words. And so the role of the teacher in the material, teacher must good in speak, must good to teach the student. Yeah, because if we can use it the language, we cannot translate our knowledge in our mind to our students. Why? Because without language, we can do anything. Very centralistic, the language. So how about us, all my friends, as a teacher? How about for us? Are we use a good language in our class? So the material tell us this morning, if we ever not speak in good language, let me change our life, our speaking. begin from now. Yeah. Language can be in oral or written form, and through this medium, ideas are conveyed. Yes. Language can be oral, yeah, you know, can be oral, or a written form, and through this medium, ideas are conveyed. However, analysts point out the language is not always used well and doesn't always convey ideas clearly. Yeah. Sometimes we are, as a teacher, sometimes maybe we have a mistake when we speaking, or maybe when we make communication to others. Yeah, we have to respect that, because especially for me, sometimes I when get emotion, my speaking or my communication with others have the failed or have the wrong meaning to others. So material this morning tell us and remind us, let we learn about language. We keep our mouth to speak. Let us give the honestly, give the proudly with our speaking or with our communication. Okay. Next, they need to make their students aware of these possibilities and limitations. They need to make their students aware. Yeah, we have to make aware of these possibilities and limitations. Many people have a casual attitude towards the language they use, and this condition causes limited confusion and failure thinking. Yeah. Many people have a casual attitude towards the language they use. Yeah. This is the reality. Language is a powerful tool for conveying ideas when used it carefully. Yeah, that's correct. It is powerful tool, yeah, for conveying idea when we want to give our knowledge to others, especially to our students. Language is our tools. Yeah. Using the good language. Yeah. Okay. My material this morning is end or is finished. I will review again about my material this morning. Yeah, let me see. Yes. Okay, we start from the definition of analytic movement of education. The second is what's the aim of education, and the third, method of education, and the fourth, curriculum, and the fifth is the role of the teachers. I hope when I tell you, when I bring the material this morning, each of us we begin from today, that language is very important in our professional as a teacher. When we use a good language, what we need and what we want to do, it will be correct, it will be right, because we use the good language, good speaking to another. Okay. The last is a question for us. How about the Adventist philosophy education? And then the second is how to manage teacher to be great teacher. And the third is how to create outstanding students about their skills, knowledge, and especially for spiritual. Language also relationship or connected for our question this morning. How about Adventist philosophy education? Maybe we can answer in our heart. Maybe we can make the report. How about the Adventist education now? Is it good? Better? Or not good? Let me answer in our heart. Let me answer in our life, in our interaction, in our school, and around people. So when we get the good students about skill, knowledge, and spiritual, it depends on our language also. So the end of my material, I will say, as God said to us, tell the word. It isn't also tell to us. Tell to me that today we will use the good language in our life. Okay? Thank you so much for participants or for my friends who watching me to bring my material this morning, especially for my teacher, Mr. Jeremiah. Maybe if I have the wrong of the material, I need your value to me, especially to me. This is my presentation this morning. Before that, we will finish the material by praying. Okay. Have a nice day for us. Thank you.